Freedom was on the menu in question period today, but do Liberals really know what freedom is? Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Well, today in the House of Commons during question period, the Liberals actually brought up freedom, not once, but on multiple occasions. But it doesn't seem that they actually know what freedom is. Let's have a listen to what they had to say.
Mr. Speaker, I understand that when that member thinks of the prospect of a carbon tax election, he comes unglued and becomes very rattled and loses control of himself, waving his hands around because he's desperate to quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre. He's desperate to push a government takeover that will shut down people's private drug plans and ban them from having access to their medical plans. Common sense conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime, and protect your drug plan. How about that?
Mr. Speaker, this is the guy who said dental care doesn't exist. This is the guy that said providers won't sign up. Well, I got news for you. 750,000 people across this country got care. I also got news for you, Mr. Speaker, and that is more than 80% of providers has signed up. We're getting it done. So he can fearmonger, he can scare people, but we're going to get it done on pharma as well. We're going to make sure that diabetes patients get their medication. We're going to make sure that women get their contraceptive, because that's what freedom looks like. A woman who has choice over her own body.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What his plan does is quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre and imposes a single payer that bans women from using their existing private plans to get contraceptives or any other form of medication. That's what a single payer means. And that is not what freedom looks like, Mr. Speaker. What he actually wants to do is quadruple the carbon tax, which will grind our economy to a halt. It will be a nuclear winter for our economy. Why don't we allow Canadians to vote in a carbon tax election to decide if they're ready to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons from the top, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll tell you what freedom doesn't look like, and it's Conservative members of Parliament taking all expensive paid trips to talk at anti-abortion conferences and to push forward an anti-abortion vision of Canada. Mr. Speaker, when he talks about women's rights, he neglects to share his hidden agenda that would take away their reproductive rights. Mr. Speaker, when he talks about freedom, he only talks about half of the story. Mr. Speaker, today what we are doing is demonstrating that this House does not have confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party.
So where do you even start with comments like that? They think that freedom is allowing people to do things. No, freedom is not getting in the way of people doing things. They think that freedom does not include the freedom to go to a conference in another part of the world and join in that conversation. So they don't like that type of freedom. They want a specific type of freedom, only freedoms that they agree with. That's not what freedom is. Freedom isn't only freedom to agree with the government. Freedom is to be able to disagree with the government or somebody else and not face government persecution. But I guess they skipped that part of their social studies class in high school. Now let's move on to another topic. Freedom wasn't the only thing on the menu in the House of Commons today. Justin Trudeau is in New York for the United Nations General Assembly Conference, the Leaders Conference. And last night he appeared on the Colbert Show. The Conservatives had some very pertinent questions about that. So let's go back to question period and see the exchange.
The Honourable Member from Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years, costs are up, taxes are up, crime is up, time is up, and now tariffs are up. The U.S. softwood lumber tariffs have just doubled. And what does this Prime Minister do? Does he make trade headlines? No, he's not making headlines, he's making punchlines on late night TV where he called the softwood lumber issue a small issue that matters. A small issue that matters, Mr. Speaker. It's 400,000 jobs. When is this Prime Minister going to figure out that he's the punchline and that it's time for a Prime Minister who will make this a large issue that matters for all Canadians, their jobs and their paychecks?
The Honourable Minister for International Trade.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm really glad that the member opposite yesterday saw the Prime Minister's appearance on Stephen Colbert, because especially since we know that they get their news from Tucker Carlson.
Someone should probably tell that minister that Stephen Colbert is not a news show.
Canadians who watched last night's interview will know what all Canadians know, that this government stands up for our workers. We stand up for our forestry sector. We will continue to do this work for Canadians and for our workers. The forestry sector contributes enormous jobs to this country, and we will keep doing that work.
Mr. Speaker, lame excuses are also up. The last Prime Minister solved the softwood lumber deal in 80 days. It's been 9 years. And you know why? The last Prime Minister didn't back down. This Prime Minister backs down to Biden, to Obama, to Trump, and the result has been increased unemployment and the risk of another 400,000 jobs in the forestry sector. When this Prime Minister said Canada's back, he meant backed down. Right. Isn't it time for our Prime Minister who will stand up to Canadians once again?
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to securing trade deals, we're not going to take any lessons from the Conservatives on this. The Conservative Party wants us to ignore the environment. They want us to ignore workers. They want us to sign bad trade deals. You'll remember that in this House that they wanted us to capitulate on CUSMA. We didn't do that. They cheered on Brexit. We didn't do that. And they abandoned Ukrainians when they needed it the most and when we negotiate free trade agreements. On this side of the House, we negotiate good deals, not just any deals, and we won't capitulate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Prince George Peace River, Northern Rockies.
The Prime Minister was on a U.S. talk show last night and dismissed his failures on softwood lumber as a small issue. Yes. This weeks after the U.S. slapped Canada with a 14.5% tariff on softwood lumber. Since then, 2 more BC mills have closed, putting 500 more workers out of a job. Do the NDP Liberals really think mills closing and losing thousands of forestry jobs is just a small issue?
The Honourable Minister for International Trade and Export Promotion.
Let me begin by thanking the softwood lumber industry and their workers for the tremendous contribution they make to the Canadian economy.
So she thanks them after the Canadian government stabs them in the back. Well, how polite.
You heard the Prime Minister say this. We are talking about this. This long-term dispute doesn't help anybody, and it particularly doesn't help us build affordable homes. On this side of the House, we're really proud that we are tackling housing. We are building affordable homes, and if we are to solve this issue, it'll make housing affordability better in the United States and certainly better here in Canada. Thank you very much.
It's clear to me that Justin Trudeau is kind of a joke on the international stage, and his appearance on the Stephen Colbert show did nothing to change that. The Liberals like to brag about how they stood up to Trump and how they stood up to Obama and Biden, but they didn't really. I remember when Chrystia Freeland was negotiating with Trump and how she insulted him in public. That's not a good tactic when you're negotiating with someone. So I'm going to end it here for today. Normally I like to keep my videos to one topic, but there was a couple of things happening in the House today, so I thought I'd cover more than one. If you have any comments on today's video, please put them in the comments below. I do read all of them. And while you're at it, please like this video, share with your friends and on social media, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that notification button so you're always aware when I put up another video. Also, in the show notes, there are links to all of my social media, including my website where you can sign up for the Canadian Firearms Safety Course. Also, I have a live stream on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific time. It'd be great if you tuned in and joined in on the conversation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.